Yay for spring! It feels so good to be sitting outside, to have the air around not be quite so frigid. And today the wind isn't even blowing and the grass is turning green. And if you look close at the trees where we live, things are starting to bud. There's no green to be seen on trees yet, but they're starting to get that swollen bud kind of look. So that feels so good. But with spring, and all the fun that it brings. Also, for many families, it's a season of transition as they are graduating children from high school and closing that chapter on their kiddos' lives. And at this point, we don't have a graduate this year, but we have graduated 4 of our 8 children, and every single time it has been a season of transition for our families. And I just wanted to take a second and just talk to you about what it looks like to transition and help our kids navigate this new season of life. When they are little and they go from the baby years to the toddler years. It's a season of transition for them and for us as parents, and when they go from that child stage to a teenager stage, it's a season of transition, and then, teenage years and beginning to take on adult responsibilities. That's, it's kind of a gradual transition there. But one of the lines that really marks the firm line of, hey, I'm going to have more responsibilities is that graduation from high school and all that means, because they are done with all the education that our state requires them to have. And now they're free to begin to make some choices about where they feel they would like the next steps of their life to be, whether it's more education or going to trade school or going to ministry school or whatever that case may be. It's a season of transition and a lot of decision making for these young people. And as a parents, as a mom, it's a time where we really have to have our listening ears on to really hear what's on their hearts. But some of the things that we have done over the years is, one of the biggest ones, I think, is avoiding the word independence, because independence is really not our aim as parents. Johnny and I are not raising up, our goal was never to raise up 8 independent children that could just go and do life on their own. That was never our goal. Now, hear me out on this. I'm not saying that I don't want my children to be able to feed themselves and do their laundry and pay the bills and navigate the responsibilities of adulthood, because I absolutely do. But our heart is that as our kids are growing, that they become less dependent on us and they begin to transfer some of that dependency onto the Lord. And so it's not that they're independent, it's that they're transferring their dependency from their parents onto God. And so for us in the teenage years, our primary goal as parents is for them to teach and to train and equip them to hear the voice of God for themselves, and to hear and then also value that step of obedience, because hearing and knowing what's right without doing it isn't the goal either. And so that is for us the primary goal for our kiddos. And so a couple of days ago, I was sitting at a volleyball game and chatting with a friend of mine that I haven't seen for a number of years. And, more of an acquaintance, really. I had spent some time with her, but not a ton. And she was just sharing with me with kind of teary, wet mother eyes that, her oldest son was graduating this year. And I could tell by the emotions washing across her face that it's not been an easy transition for her. And she really was struggling with the fact that, it's time for him to be out of the house, and struggling with the fact that she was kind of ready for him to be out of the house. Like, it's been a struggle, and maybe now it's good for him to go and take responsibility and just go on his own. And in fact, her words were, it's going to be okay to kind of be done with him. kind of like, parenting is I've done what I could, and now he's just going to have to take it from there. And for us, as we have transitioned our kiddos into adulthood, we have had a heart to continue parenting our children. But parenting looks different in this transition. Parenting looks like a lot of listening. Parenting looks like a lot of questions, like interest in their lives. Parenting looks like, just really trying to find our kids' hearts and hear their hearts and help them navigate the best that we can. And it's not about you have to, it's more like, have you thought about, and just presenting our kids with those things. But I want to release over you that as your kids are moving into adulthood, that parenting looks different, yes, but being a parent never ends. And so those obviously the seasons of prayer, the things that we release over our kids, the things that we speak into their lives, making the phone calls and reaching out and keeping that connection and relationship strong is super duper important. And I remember when my oldest, Jacob, was heading off for his first venture. He was going to, after he graduated from high school, he was going to do a year with YWAM, which was fabulous. But having my first move out of the house was a challenge for me. And then he went to Argentina for a couple of months. We had very little phone contact just because of the remote location that he was at. And I remember there's a verse in Nehemiah, and I wrote it down so I could share it with you. And it's Nehemiah 2 verse 8, and it says, "The good hand of my God is upon me." And then in Nehemiah 2:18, it says, "The hand of my God, which has been good upon me." Those verses really ministered to me when I was praying over Jake and now all of my kiddos who have graduated and moved on. When I pray over them, I picture the good hand of God literally upon my kids. That the good hand of God is upon them. And even when I'm not there, that his spirit is moving over their lives and his protective hand is right there. And, he is such a good daddy. He's been such a good daddy to me. And I think about myself and all the areas that he's helped me to grow and to mature over the years. It's astonishing. And I know that he is going to be a really good dad to my kids. In fact, he's a better parent than I have ever been or ever will be, because he is the perfect father. And so as our kids are transitioning, it's good for us as parents to really transition that as well, that place of trust, that he is trustworthy and good, and we can trust him with our kids. He is so good, and he loves to prove it to us every single day. And so as you are facing, whatever the season is in your home, facing it from a place of trust, never speaking from a place of fear, and letting him navigate this journey of what family looks like through the growing and changing seasons of life is the biggest joy. So I just bless you as you walk out your family's journey together.